Story time. Now, I often get asked more times than you would ever imagine, how did Kravings become, and what made me want to be in the ice cream business? And that's a really good question, very interesting question. I'll start off by saying it was completely on accident and not intended at all. Now, you see, some of you may remember back in 2019, I was doing personal branding videos. I owned an insurance agency at that time, and I was finding ways to reach customers through different avenues, different ways that many other insurance agents were doing. One of those is through personal branding. So if you go back on my YouTube channel, back to 2019, you're gonna see 24-ish videos of me just doing random things. And one of the things that I still love to do back then, that I still love to do today, is start businesses. That is probably my favorite thing in the world. I love to start a business way more than I like to actually run a business, which is really dumb. That's just how it works. So I came across a Casey Neistat video back then in maybe 2019. It might have been a little bit earlier in 2018. I don't exactly remember when, but they were talking about this place called Black Tap out in New York. And he went there and the line was insane. Kind of like what it was opening weekend for us at Kravings. It was insane. But they have that all the time. And they had these over-the-top Krazy Shakes that they offered at that place. And I saw that, I was like, those look really freaking good. I want one. Well, I looked around everywhere and I could not find any. The closest I could find was a place down in Chicago, and I have a video of it somewhere where my parents actually went down there with me, my brother, my nephew, all that stuff. We went down there and checked it out. So through this process though, what's interesting is Kravings literally started out as an idea that I had zero intent on following through and making become reality. But it started out with me basically asking people for feedback on a name for this fictitious business, coming up with random concepts for it that, again, were all fictitious. It wasn't necessarily going to be a real thing. So here's a quick clip of when we were coming up with the name. We spent hours coming up with the name, by the way. I put it out on Facebook. We had feedback from over 100 people that were giving us names. So check this out. It's kind of cool to see back from 2019. I know.
You can't put all the new ones on there. There's too many. There's 30 or 40 new ones, and most of them are just
it's
people.
It's 50.
I
know, there's so many names.
We should have said one per person. So that way they give us their best one.
God. So I want you to go through and you pick your favorite ones off of that, and we'll write any of those ones down that you like, because we already have
a million. Over 100 name ideas that we could find. That's a lot. Yeah.
So we're blending between, I think.
I know.
Whatever type of shakes that aren't from milk.
Your mom's kind of funny.
There's just let's get your tips.
Yeah,
tips.
use the food.
Food.
Adjective, so describe it.
Damn, blended hits both of those already. And shake and scoop.
Describe.
Blended does not hit on the food.
Yep.
Isn't that because it's
use
blended
your
shakes?
name, so Karweik.
The shakes are blended.
Use your location.
Karweik, shake and scoop.
What about Jordan? Jordan's a strong brand.
It's not as strong as Karweik though. He's already
No,
got
you're
one.
actually right.
And then rhyme. Those were their 5 big tips.
Jordan, maybe you should stay away from anything that's too descriptive if you want to branch onto other things.
That's not what my blog said.
Fuck your blog.
Who wrote it?
She did.
So the camera died. We were going for about an hour and a half. We were going back and forth coming up with names. We were running through them all. We decided what was it, a one-word thing would be for whatever it was. And I've had this name for his restaurant I've always wanted. I thought it'd be a great name, and it was Kravings. Well, there you have it.
I think that's what we might do is Kravings.
So any things that you like, don't like, we can always, give you more examples of that. We just wanted to give you a bunch of different things.
What were your 2 favorites?
I think I have 3 favorites.
What are the
supporting words?
Then my 3 favorites are this one, and that one. Yeah.
That one? Yeah, this one.
So like you can see, like we did a bunch of different videos like that, just kind of coming up with it. So then shortly after kind of going through a lot of that process and that concept, you know, I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, like many things, I kind of got bored with the idea. I got into a relationship, got distracted, and everything kind of fell by the wayside. About 6 months later, this crazy thing happened to the world called COVID, and it kind of turned everybody's world upside down, mine included, but in a different way. Now, I still enjoyed doing insurance to a point. Like, I enjoyed interacting with customers. I was getting bored with some of the processes, though, because it's insurance. It's not the most fun thing in the world, for me at least. I need to be all over the place. That's what I need. I don't know. I need just craziness in my life, I guess. But so through COVID, one thing that I really, really learned is that my insurance agency was not able to grow at a similar growth pattern if I was not constantly in there going out and doing all the things that I was doing, like the networking groups, the sales, I don't know, all the different things that I was doing. And so I had to make the tough decision at that point. Do I want to go all in on insurance? Or do I want to be able to build different businesses? And now kind of throughout all this time and leading up before COVID, I had people constantly asking me, when is Kravings going to open? Like all the time. I would have people asking constantly, when is Kravings going to open? When is it going to open? And I was like, you know, sometime down the road. In reality, it's my mind. I'm like, never. Just hopefully I forget about it. So that kind of stuck in my mind, though, that there was a lot of people that were interested in it. So then eventually I ended up selling my insurance agency and went all in on Kravings. And so did that. We had a very, very slow build out. And also kind of during that process, too, I kind of passed over this. My business partner, Mike, he was actually one of my clients for my insurance agency. I told him about the idea. I don't exactly remember how it all came to fruition. I know that him and his wife had this dream of someday opening an ice cream shop. So it all meshed together really, really well. I think a lot of Mike's strengths are a lot of my weaknesses. He's a lot more focused than I am. And so that's able to really kind of help where a lot of my faults are. We mesh really well together. I feel like this story is going to be all over the place. And if it is, I apologize. But something else that popped in my mind, because I was kind of watching back some old videos that I created. I remember up until the point of the concept of Kraving, I have never made a milkshake before, which is kind of crazy to a lot of people. Like, you've never made a milkshake, yet you're opening up a milkshake shop. I don't know how to respond to that. That just what happens sometimes, I guess. Definitely learned a lot about the restaurant industry along the way. That's one thing. Mike and I, neither one of us had any restaurant experience before jumping into this at all. Like, we quite literally are just making everything up along the way based upon our past business experiences and things that we can learn from other businesses in the restaurant industry. That's literally how we're making this all up. I would say, like, our product lineup when we first opened, nothing at all that I experimented with. I did everything by hand, try to make everything homemade essentially, but with the goals of opening multiple locations, knowing I wasn't going to have a ton of like older adult employees, it just wasn't feasible. So fortunately, my dad turned me on to a vendor that they use where he works, and they taught me so much. Like the whipped topping that we use, I didn't even know that was a thing until, like, I don't know, 2-3 weeks before we opened our store. Literally, that's how much stuff changed in such a short period of time. Now, the crazier thing is, and I didn't realize this until after our opening weekend, that Mike didn't even fully understand what the concept was. So, like, when we first opened, we made a bet as to what we're going to sell more of. Keep in mind, this was January 29th of 2022, and we made a bet of what we're going to sell more of, shakes or coffee. And Mike was very adamant. He thought we were going to sell a ton of coffee and not very much ice cream because, again, it's January in Wisconsin. So he had no idea fully really what the concept was. And I can remember going into like the weekend before and the weekend of opening, what it was then to what it was even now, completely different. Like, our processes I have no idea how we did it. Like, I'm so sorry to any of our employees that worked at that point in time because it was a cluster. Like, we had no idea. You just don't know what you don't know. Like, I can remember for our, like, pre-opening or whatever we called it, we didn't even have a efficient way to take people's orders. They literally told us what they were ordering. We scooped it, put it in a line, and hoped that the people ended up with the right thing at the end. Like, that's literally what we did. We're now we're at the point where we actually put it into the POS. In between, we wrote it down on paper. But it's just crazy how things evolve and how much you learn. It's been almost exactly a year. We're 10 days away from 1 year of Kravings being open. That's really crazy to think. I'm pretty sure that right now is about when we had our soft opening. So we're almost, January 22nd. This is from the soft opening that we had last year. So we're only a few days away from our soft opening that we had, which is so crazy. That's crazy. It's already almost a year. It's definitely been a journey over the last year. We've learned a lot. We've screwed up a lot. But I think we've made tons of improvements. This year is going to be really, really big for us. We have some good things in store. We have more experience under our belts. So yeah, this kind of started as a story as to how Kravings became to kind of where we're at. No idea if the timeline actually makes any sense, so I hope it does. If it doesn't, I apologize. That's just how sporadic and chaotic my mind is at times. But it's definitely been a very interesting journey of kind of starting the idea of this back in 2019, where it all started and to where it is now. Definitely very curious where it's going to be another year from now and really 5 years from now. And so, like, what is our goal? Like, what are our plans? Like, realistically, ideally, we'd get, another 3 to 5 locations this year. Now, before we were a little more ambitious with how many we wanted, but we can see how much time and energy it takes to put into it. I think we have better systems in place now for opening stores because we have learned so much. But realistically, after we open, we're still in a store for a good month just to make sure everything is running smooth. I think Mount Pleasant was probably the best opening so far. That one, fortunately or unfortunately, there was just delays with that build out. So they ended up getting trained in Waterford for probably about 2 months or so. So once they got over to their actual store, they pretty much were able to kind of hop in there and just run it right away. We barely had to do anything. That one was incredibly easy. Waterford, we were probably there for a good 3 months or so, like all the time. Like, Mike was opening almost every single day. I was closing almost every single day. I think I got 1 day off a week. I think he got 1 day off a week. And like the day off would essentially be like the day that I used for ordering stuff, for marketing stuff, things like that. So not any true days off. With Burlington, though, we ended up working quite a bit in that store. We didn't have our management team really lined up as well as I had hoped. But that's kind of the story of how Kravings became. And we'll see where it goes. But if you actually made it all the way through this, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully this answers some of your questions. If you guys do have more questions of like Kravings or I don't know where it all began for my entrepreneurial journey, that's a story for a whole different day. Any of that stuff, definitely comment below. Let me know what questions you guys have. Definitely always love answering questions. But that is it for this one. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day. How much to put in here? Don't worry, I won't be sticking my fingers in it when I make it for all of you people. Let's see here, let's read this handy dandy book. How to make a milkshake. I assume you probably need milk. Interesting fact, I've never made a milkshake before. Hopefully it's still good. That should be good enough, I hope. Let's see what happens. Oh boy, it's getting messy already. Oh boy, it's making a mess. Oh, there's a faster speed, interesting. Alright, I'm gonna put more chocolate in because I feel like that's not enough. Well, it looks like a chocolate shake, but it's very, very liquidy. Tastes like ice cream. Tastes like ice cream. Let's see, am I missing any ingredients? Let's take a look and read in this book. All right, well, it looks like I have some research to do.